Okay. Good. That's not the script I need.
I'm gonna get my coffee.
Okay, that's. Also, I'll go a little bit slower this morning then. Good morning. As a preliminary matter, this is John Brescher, Chair of the Town Government Study Committee. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Tucker Holland.
Aye.
Rick Atherton.
Aye.
Linda Williams.
Yep.
Campbell Sutton. You're still muted. Thank you.
I can hear you. Yes.
Beautiful. All right. And Curtis Barnes was just getting a cup of coffee. He'll be right back. This open meeting of the Town Government Study Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment to those members of the public that have joined via Zoom. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided by members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. Public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, let's go over a few ground rules. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items of public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will forward public comment to those members of the public that have joined via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged and speak by them through the chair. Every vote in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote, and please remember to raise your hand. Okay, so first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda as written.
So moved.
Oh,
Second.
okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, do roll call vote. Tucker Holland.
Aye.
Rick Atherton.
Aye.
Curtis Barnes.
Aye.
Linda Williams.
Aye.
All of a sudden,
Aye.
thank you. And the chair votes aye as well. Next item is public comment. Seeing as there are members of the public joining us, we'll move on. Meeting minutes from May 17th, 2021. I don't know if everyone had a chance to read those. I'm patting myself on the back that I actually got those out on time.
Very impressive.
I was gonna say very, very impressive. What the only thing I noticed was a
Oh, come on, man.
minor typo. About halfway through, after the recitation of the vote, it says a comment directed toward town administration
Okay.
rather than administration.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, quite right. I see it there. Beautiful. All right. We can make that edit. Any other comments or questions on those minutes?
I move approval with the edit.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Curtis. All right. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please. We'll do a roll call vote for ayes. Tucker Holland.
Aye.
Rick Atherton.
Aye.
Curtis Barnes.
Aye.
Linda Williams.
Aye.
Campbell Sutton.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you for catching that edit. All right. Hopefully, I don't want to jinx us. Hopefully, we can try to wrap up, if not all, the meat of the finalization of the report to the select board, or at least our motions, and then we can get this document in final form for approval, and then get this over to select board and to town meeting. So we've got to look at today. sort of catching up where we left off, I believe we were talking about, Rick, I don't want to sort of jump in on this, but I believe it was licensing board, parking commission, and sewer commission. That sound about right?
Yeah, John, that's correct. And in your minutes, you're very good, and you note there was an initial discussion, and some felt the committee might want to take a clearer motion that requires an inclusion of the establishment of these commissions in the charter. At least that's how I read the minutes. And I recall the conversation, and I think I said, I have no problem with that. Let's see how we could do it. And that's sort of where we stopped. Any other recollections from anybody?
Nope.
Okay.
Sounds about right. I think we were hoping for it
Where we
all.
are.
Yeah. So let's fire them off.
So we could easily, if that's where people want to go, let's just assume that, and this isn't a motion, I'm just sort of trying some language for you.
Yep.
Move that the town charter be amended to require that the select board shall establish a licensing and a parking commission. Is that sort of the type of language we're talking about?
Well, the require and the shall are redundant, so you might want to just sort of simplify that language.
That's a great idea, Linda. I have no problem. The town charter be amended so that the select board shall establish a licensing and parking commission. I think I need to separate those.
I was going to say separate. You've got to use the word separate.
Yeah, separate licensing and parking commissions.
And leave out the sewer.
I think we should, Linda. I was always concerned about whether that then gets into taxing authority and fee raising and can get extremely, as you know, I'm not sure contentious is the right word, but I think it's difficult to delegate those things without a real significant discussion of what it means.
Well, can we include in that a comment that the town should study further a separate sewer commission? Because when somebody can't afford to tie into the sewer, but they're being forced to do it, there's nowhere to go for an abatement, or like for your taxes, there's a tax abatement committee. There is no sewer board to go to without displaying your personal problems in front of the selectmen at a select meeting. I'd rather there be another entity that can deal with that kind of thing, because people are running into that all over the place now after they changed the stupid rule last June.
Yeah, no, I heard some numbers for a rugged road property of like $70,000.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. And we've got a lot of local guys that are just finishing their basements for their kids, and they're being whacked, like my son, for another $6,000 when he's already on sewer. And there's nowhere for them to go except to go to display themselves in front of the public. Unlike the tax abatement group, which you don't have to do. You don't have to go to the public, you go to the group. And I think there's a big problem there.
It's a good point. Hold on, Rick. Campbell has her hand up. Yes, Campbell.
I was just going to sort of second what Linda was saying. Just in my own experience, I know I was required because I have it running in front of the house, not because I had any problem with my septic. And it cost me $3,000 to have mine done. And that is a phenomenal amount of money for someone, a working person like myself. I pulled it together and used that low interest loan thing that the town offered, which I found very helpful. But then I found that you can only pay it off in one lump sum. You can't like make added payments every year. If you took the loan for $5,000, whatever, you needed to pay the whole amount, not $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever you can to try and eat it down. So it really is debilitating, I find. And I didn't go searching for help because the only people you could go in front of was a select board. And
right.
That's a little embarrassing to say you don't have $30,000, but the reality is, there goes, part of your retirement plan.
Absolutely.
They made a massive mistake last June, massive. And it's causing problems all over this island for year-round people. It's just unconscionable, the stupidity of that vote last June. So
Well-
that's going to have to come up again. But if there's nowhere for anybody to go, that's a big problem for people.
Okay, so point's been made. Yes, Rick.
So I would suggest a way to do that is what we did with the prior motion about enforcement, was to say that we would make a comment and a recommendation way to the board. And we could do that here. We could say something like, the committee has noted the difficulty in implementing sewer connection fees and the burden it imposes, and ask the board to find a way to allow for appeals so that people are not exposed to public something as their only method, or something like that.
But we can wordsmith it. That
Yeah.
makes sense. But we leave the sewer as a comment as opposed to call it formal motion recommendation.
Maybe you could say a public declaration or something like that.
Fancy. All right. That all seems to make sense-ish to me. Does someone want to move this forward with a motion?
I'll do that, but I'll move it forward with the strong recommendation that they entertain a sewer abatement committee.
Linda, can we make that
Committee got
can
that.
we make that a separate resolution?
Okay,
I'm all for doing it. I'm all for doing
Vote
that.
the two that are up.
Yeah, let's stick to parking and licensing right now.
okay, I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion has been made. Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded, and let's see if I get this right, that it would be, the motion specifically is to move that the town charter be amended so that the select board shall establish a separate licensing and a separate parking commission.
Correct. That's how I read it.
Any
Right.
date for implementation or any way to just not let that float?
I don't believe you can put a date in because this
Yeah.
the charter outlives everything we're doing.
Okay,
All right, so motion's made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Okay, hearing none, we'll do roll call vote. Tucker Holland.
I'm going to abstain.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Okay.
fine then.
Rick Atherton,
Aye.
Curtis Barnes,
aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Campbell Sutton,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye as well.
Now, John, on these motions that we're going to submit, do we have
Yes.
to give a comment on our rationale? Wouldn't that be,
No.
wouldn't that be effective?
I think so. I think that it would, if I can sort of piggyback off of what the way that Rick sent out his motions, I would sort of think that we would have this sort of declaratory statement of we move that, our motion was that the town charter be amended so the select board shall establish a separate licensing and a separate parking commission. And then we have a comment beneath about why we came to this reasoning.
So let's just get the motions and then we can, at some point, we can do the rationale.
That's exactly, yes, I think that makes sense. I think the rationale comes as sort of the body of the memo, so to speak.
Do we have to add this town council, subject to town council drafting thing?
So
No, everything's that way.
yeah, I think
Okay.
every one of them is subject to that. So I don't know.
Okay, but just so we know that.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up again. Okay, so do we want to make a motion that we're going to make a comment on a sewer commission?
Yes,
I'll make a motion that the select board study creating a separate sewer commission, and further that a sewer abatement committee be established.
second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there a discussion on the motion?
I guess I would prefer doing the second and not the first, but if I only,
Well, it's just recommend they look at it. I mean, they're not going to do it, but I think
Yeah.
the second one is critical.
I understand, Linda. And so in that sense, I'm not sure I care because I do care more about the second part. I think that's a real need.
Yeah,
Good point.
since they did that last June, I'm going to go after that big time at some
Good.
point.
Okay. Motion been made and second. Any further discussion on the motion at this point? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote to make this comment. Tucker Holland.
Aye.
Okay. Rick Atherton.
I
Curtis Barnes.
Aye.
Linda Williams.
Aye.
Campbell Sutton.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Fantastic. Okay. Awesome. Next item. Rick, you want to finish out your list before we jump into Curtis's and go into the memo?
Sure, I have one more. I thought after some of our earlier discussions, it would be helpful if the select board's strategic plan initiatives and some of their efforts were compatible with the charge of the NP and EDC, and thought it would be helpful to request. It's not a requirement, it's just to request the select board and the NP and EDC to consider adding language to update the charter about issues such as sustainability and quality of life, along with all their existing powers and authority. So it's more of a comment than it is. It's not a charter amendment per se, unless those two parties come to agreement. And they may choose never to talk, or they may decide, if they undertake a discussion, that it's not at all a bad idea and benefits the long-term outlook of both bodies. So.
No problem with that.
I have a problem with that. I don't want any comment relative to the NPDC at all in anything we do. So there you go.
Yeah, Linda, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not surprised you're there, but I think it's a reasonable comment, and I think our charge, it's not unlike being able to look at the water company. It's a broad part of our community government structure. So,
It doesn't belong in the charter. That's my problem. We don't have comments in the charter about the planning commission. So I don't think it's not something we're recommending to do with the charter. So I don't think we should comment at all.
I think we have lots of things that are not in the charter that are things we've discussed. So I respectfully disagree with that.
Well, I'll be voting wholeheartedly against it, as you know.
I understand.
Campbell, your hand's up.
Yeah, I would just like to support Rick as proposed here. I think that and unnecessarily thinking that there's some massive move for change. And I think updating and staying with the times is very important. Nobody's, suggesting any kind of motion to get rid of anything, but I do think that there were the two issues that Rick has mentioned, I think are very important today and may not have been in the past. So I would like to see us be supportive of reviews of missions and to look around and see if there are other ways in which a governing body may update to meet modern needs. So I will vote for Rick's motion, and it is within the realm of our recommendations, which we have a number of. We just made one on the sewer commission, and I don't think that is a charter change, what we recommended. So I think this falls in the same camp. So,
Can I finish my comment there, Mr. Chairman? I'm just reading my notes on this again. It doesn't belong in the charter, number one. Number two, the MPDC does not have a charter. It's enabling legislation as all of the other the other 11, I think, planning commissions in the state. It's not a charter, so that's incorrect. And the selectmen don't set policy for them. They are under state charter. state enabling legislation that gives them what jurisdiction they have. So anything we recommend has to go back to the state. I just, and anything the select board want to do with the planning commission can be done through the agreement that they already have, working relationship between the select board and the planning commission, because all of the regulatory boards in that office are underneath the planning commission's jurisdiction as far as administrative responses. So I don't think, I'm really concerned about doing anything here. There's nothing in a charter for the planning commission. They don't get set by anything by the town. They have a certain jurisdiction that they're supposed to do. And they run tip funds and things like that, area plans. And as I say, anything they want to do, they can do through an agreement with the town. But saying anything else about this anywhere in any of our recommendations is inappropriate.
Duly noted. Anybody else have any other comments on this? Campbell, is your hand still up? Okay, you're on mute.
I just have a quick question. I thought, Rick, was your recommendation that the NP and EDC look at itself versus some suggestion to the select board?
Well, I think it would be helpful here that both parties participated in a discussion of community goals and whether or not some additional language in there, and let's change charter to enabling legislation, or taking other action might be helpful in making sure we're working on a common path forward. So it wasn't one or the other. I think it takes both parties to have this kind of discussion.
We're not
Okay.
going back to the state legislature for a home rule petition to
Excuse
put
me.
fruits
Hold
and
on,
flakes
hold on,
back
Linda.
in this agreement. Not
Excuse-
happening.
Excuse me, Linda, but you have made your points very clear. I had a question for clarity, and that's what I was getting an answer to. I'm not looking to have an argument about anything. You have your opinion. I totally respect that. I have mine. I hope you can respect that. And I think we need to move forward with a vote one way or the other, because, no one's going to change your mind. And so I think that it's time not well spent to go back and forth on it. I do believe they have a mission statement that I did read. But anyway, my point was for clarification. Thank you, Rick.
Tucker, your hand's up.
So what is the comment that we are considering? Could somebody restate that, please?
Rick, go for it.
Sure. We'll sort of make a couple of modifications here that I think are helpful after discussion. And the idea is to request the select board and the NP and EDC to consider adding language to update the NP and EDC enabling legislation to more closely track, or excuse me, and I wanted to add, or take other action to more closely track the community goals expressed in the select board strategic plan, period.
So let me be clear. You are suggesting that we make a recommendation that we go on a home rule petition to the state to change the NPDC enabling legislation? Have we gone that far? Is that where we are, as opposed to some recommendation, fruits, nuts, and flakes, let's go hug a planning commission? We're actually doing that in your motion?
I'm happy to read the motion. It asks them to consider. It doesn't say do it. It doesn't say must. It doesn't say shall. It's just a recommendation to consider bringing those two areas closer together in their approach to community affairs.
Okay. That's even making me more intransigent on this.
Tucker,
So,
your wheel's spinning.
well, I think Linda has some valid points about, where different authority lies and where the mechanics of making changes lie. I mean, I'm not sure that I would personally be limiting just to the select board and the NP and EDC. Is it like, I would be in favor, if you will, of a general comment that suggests that all boards serving, the town of Nantucket, which I would also, I would include a broad array, sort of whether they're all elected boards or what have you, that serve Nantucket, to that it is in the interest of the community that they work more closely together or examine ways to work more closely together. But I feel uncomfortable just limiting this to the current language. I think there are other groups and boards and elected officials that should be part of this this sort of thought.
It's very,
In the
well
interest
taken. Go ahead, Rick.
of getting this together, I don't know that I mind that. I mean, I would hope into that kind of a dialogue that a number of things might come up and be discussed openly, Tucker. And I think that's to benefits us all. And it seems to me pretty clear over time that just doesn't happen very well. I can tell you from my experience on the select board, there must have been 6 initiatives that said, let's meet with the planning board. It may have happened once. So there are a lot of things like that I think would be helpful. So if you want to help drafting language for a broader comment, because this isn't specific to amending anything, it's more of a comment, I'm receptive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're trying to come up with the language right now. I mean, I'm happy to put something down for consideration in that vein.
Well, why don't we agree to work together and just bring it back to the next meeting? I think other than Linda, and Linda might even find such a motion acceptable, but I don't want to speak for you, Linda. Let's agree to come back with some proposed language to our next meeting. It's fairly simple, shouldn't be difficult to get into our final report if we come to agreement.
That's fine. That's fine with me. I mean, I think and you know what, that's very appropriate in the whole spirit of this this idea that you two come together and work for common good of
There we go.
finalizing language. Look at that. Okay. That's great. Let's go. We'll put a pin in that one for the time being. So I'm going to sort of leave it to the committee on this one, how we want to do it. I've seen motions from Curtis that he sent around, and we also have what I would sort of consider sort of quasi motions from our report or memo to the select board. I am sort of at your whim if you would prefer to go through Curtis's motions first, or if you want to take the paragraphs in our memo and say, hey, these are good, and then we can start so we can finalize.
I'd like to go to my motions only because I'd like to move them along.
That sounds good, but before we jump into that, Rick, I saw your hand up.
Well, I was just going to agree with that as a process, John.
Great, fantastic. Curtis, let's make some motions.
Am I making a motion?
Well, tell us the
Well,
first one.
I'm
Tell us
looking
the
at my
first one.
memo.
Tell us what it
move
is.
that 35 signatures be required for a citizen's article. Period.
So we're going to amend the motions to amend the charter to require that 35 signatures be required for
a minimum of 35 signatures.
Okay, well, I'm supporting Linda in this, so that's why I made the motion.
But it's a minimum of.
Okay.
35 be required for a citizen's article. Campbell, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I'm just going to make 3 points that I have about this. One, this is a late entry. We haven't done any due diligence investigating this topic. This came up before, it's not even on a list of things to investigate.
I did bring it up, Campbell, a long time ago, but that was
Okay. All right. Let her finish first.
I'm just saying, I don't believe we've done due diligence investigating this topic. I do think there could be potential ramifications restricting the democratic process that the open town meeting provides. I also feel that the current, I think it's you need 10, but they encourage you very strongly to get 20. And while I might go to 15 so that you have to get 30, I'm not going to support this particular motion without more information on the ramifications. I think we're noticing in the news, a lot of states are passing laws to restrict voting. And I think this sort of, well, it's not restricting voting, it is restricting voice. The other thing I will say, having had the experience of removing a citizen's article from the warrant, you then have to go and get every single one of those signatures again, the same signatures, not new signatures. And that is a very heavy lift to talk 35 signers into unsigning. That was my experience with just having to get, I think I had to get 15 or 18 signatures. So that's just what I have to say. I'm not going to support it, but I just wanted to let you know why.
Thank you. Curtis, your hand's up.
I just want to follow up with the note on my memo. It was necessary to get 53 signatures to be put on the ballot for Water Commission. So we are raising the bar. And the fact is, Linda's comment, and I brought this up to support Linda, people are getting 10 signatures and putting frivolous things like no spotlights on their house. And I really think we've got to raise the bar someplace to stop the frivolous articles.
Curtis, your hand's up. Oh, I'm sorry, Curtis Tucker. Sorry. Gee whiz, that's the second time today.
No problem. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I agree with basically with what Curtis just said, that I think this just, I don't think that it's a overburdensome requirement. I think the fact that it requires a few more signatures just makes folks think a little bit more about what's put forward and not have a, well, let's throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks sort of approach. So I don't feel like it's silencing anyone. I support it.
Okay. Campbell, I'm sorry, Rick, we haven't heard from you yet, please.
Yeah, I just, a couple of observations. Number one, probably the biggest 10 signature users of that vehicle are law firms for zoning bylaw amendments, Linda. So you may not want to change that. They'll have to go next door and get their partners to sign. And all you have to do is read their petitions. And maybe, Curtis, they're as frivolous as what you think others are. I think frivolous is in the eye of the beholder. So I don't think I agree with frivolous. I've never found it difficult if you have a reasonable warrant to get 10 or to get 20. And I'm not sure why 35 is any better than 20. It may be that we'd be well off not to go that high. And since there may be a lot of people who want to do this, take a number like 20 that emphasizes an increase to people, that there's a little more effort involved, but it doesn't seem overly burdensome.
25.
So, we're negotiating. I go for 20, but I'm just saying that, yeah, I've had experience, and maybe most of you have, Linda certainly has. All you have to do is go to the post office and you can come away with 50 signatures for anything. So it's only a matter of personal effort here. It makes it harder for Linda.
Linda, your hand is up.
Yeah, Rick is right. I've had more experience with this than almost anybody on this page, because I've had to run around everybody else's to get them signed as well. 10 is ridiculous. We do end up with things like that dog duty thing from 15 years ago, and anybody remembers that one. You got to have the courage of your convictions. If you believe in something, whether it's an attorney with a zoning thing or somebody on a street that has a problem or whatever, you got to put some effort in here. I mean, you could roll over your street and get 10 signatures and 15 and 20 to be safe. I mean, 35 may be too high. That may be onerous. 30, I was going to go with 30. I'm willing to go with 25. I'm willing to go with 20, but it's got to be something more than 10. People have to actually have the courage of their convictions to explain what it is they're trying to do instead of just blindly signing stuff. I usually have to explain every single one to anybody I ask to sign it so they know what they're signing. So I just think it's ridiculous. So if it's 25 or 20, I'm okay, but it's got to be a little bit more effort on these people's parts so these stupid things don't take us into oblivion.
I think all the voting articles are stupid. I make a formal amendment to Curtis's motion to strike 35 and make it 20.
Very quickly, I believe that it's 10 for annual, but isn't it 50 for special?
Yeah, it's a lot more for special.
Okay. Just I'm not sure where I'm going with that. I'm just adding
No, I'm
that.
gonna leave the special alone because I've had to do several for special and that was a nightmare.
So this applies to ATM.
Yeah, your annual regularly scheduled ATM. The special, we're not changing the language in the charter about special.
No.
All right, Tucker, your hand's up, and then Campbell.
Yeah, I think I had my hand up before Rick amended. I was going to amend to 25. I feel like 25 is makes a statement. Yeah.
25.
Okay. Campbell.
So I appreciate the change in number, but if you go for 25, then you need 50. And I think that's onerous in the democratic process. And I think it's burdensome for the town clerk to have to go through, that many signatures for every, we had 100, I think, something like that, 109 citizen petitions come in for this annual town meeting. And if I were a town clerk and I had to look up 50 signatures for every one of those, that would have been onerous. And that's where I say we haven't done our due diligence. We're just making a recommendation emotionally, but we haven't looked at, you have the right to do that at the state level. We haven't looked at what the town clerk would consider a reasonable number for her office or for the office to pursue. And that's where I say we really haven't done due diligence. We're just doing an emotional vote. But that's it. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Curtis, your hand's up.
Okay, the town clerk told me when I did my signatures for the water company ballot, she said you have to have 53, get 60. Nobody has ever said you need to get 20, double the numbers. When you needed 10, if you got 15 or 16, it always worked. So I think 25 is a reasonable number. And I agree with Linda, we've just got to get away from 10 signatures. And the town clerk is not that crazy busy. They have a system, they do it very efficiently, and they've got 3 staff in there, no problem.
All right. I feel like we've pretty much exhausted this one. So can we make a motion on this? I think all good points have been raised. So let's unless everybody has anything new, let's move on.
Is the motion now that move that 25 signatures be required for a citizens warrant article for the annual town meeting?
A minimum of.
Minimum of.
Thank you. Okay, that is the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made.
I'm going to make my same amendment, Mr. Chair.
What was that?
I'm going to, again, make a motion to amend that 25 to 20. People can do as they will.
I thought we already went through that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded, and there's an amendment to the motion to make that number 20.
So what are we voting on?
Well,
Is that a
Rex,
friendly amendment? Those amendments have to be seconded. They have to be accepted as friendly amendments. Otherwise, we just erase all the motions here and start from scratch.
get my little Robert's rules out.
Yeah, I
Curtis,
get really anal about these Robert's rules.
No, I'm not accepting that as a friendly amendment. I think 25 is a good number. Tucker thinks 25 is a good number. Linda thinks, so let's vote it then.
okay, so there was a motion to amend. Is there a second to amend to the 20? Campbell, are you?
I would second that.
Okay, so the motion to amend has been made and seconded. Do we have any further discussion on this motion to amend from 25 to 20? Hearing none, let's vote. This is just on the amendment. The amendment to go from 25 to 20. Curtis.
No.
Okay. Campbell.
Yes.
Linda.
No.
Rick.
Aye.
Hold on, I have to get Campbell's vote. Tucker.
No.
And the chair votes no as well. So that motion fails.
So you can
So
pick up the main motion.
now we're back to the original motion, which is 25 signatures. So that motion was made and seconded. There was an amendment made that's failed. Is there any further discussion on the motion for 25? Okay, hearing none. We'll go roll call vote. Curtis Barnes.
Aye.
Campbell.
No.
Thank you. Linda.
Aye.
Rick.
No.
No. And Tucker.
I,
And the chair votes aye as well. So that passes 4-2. That's going to be a lot of fun to put in the minutes.
Didn't it though?
Okay. Hold on.
All right, what's the next one here? See, I could never type the minutes by hand while I'm doing stuff. I have to write it by hand and then type it in.
It's a mixed blessing, if I may say so. It's quicker, but may not be as.
And I type really fast and I still have to do it by hand.
All right. So Curtis, any other? We got some more motions.
Yep, number 4 on my list, move that the town request the Commonwealth's Division of Local Services, parens DOR, conduct a review of the town charter and government.
I'm confused by that one, Curtis. You got to explain that one to me.
All right, may I, Mr. Chair?
Please.
If you look at the memo I sent out on May 12, I picked this up from, I reviewed all of the stuff that Campbell pulled out, and in the town of Milton requested such a review. The comment was that DOR has conducted reviews of over 250 towns in the past 30 years, and in 2013, they made 33 recommendations which were helpful to the Milton town government review. This is an independent agency, no local politics involved, and a periodic review by a state independent agency makes a lot of sense to me. Milton seemed to feel it was good, so I put it out as an idea for our committee.
But what are they reviewing specifically and what was the goal of that? They're not reviewing how many signatures on a petition.
No, they're reviewing the structure and operation of the town, and they're just saying, it's the same thing Lauren Goldberg did. She gave us a couple of quickies. This is a professional organization that does more. So
Are they looking just as the DOR is doing it, which is mostly financial regulation? Is the DOR
Division of Local Services, which is a subset of DOR.
Yeah, but are they looking at just a financial process? Or are they looking at the actual government process, the way the town functions?
I believe the latter. I will, if
I don't think so.
necessary, I'll go back and get the Milton thing and read you exactly what it said. And if you want to defer this until next meeting so I can do that, I'd be happy to defer.
I just want to know what their scope was. It could be very limited if it's coming through the DOR.
Rick, your hand's up.
Yeah, just to review for folks who may or may not remember that the town in the past has specifically asked the state Division of Local Services to review 2 or 3 of our departments, but most of the time they would be involved with the finance department. I think that's their real specialty. And I'm a little reluctant to get into the whole charter and town government. If you listen to our select board last night, they seem to have every intention of dissolving us and starting a new committee like the next day. We'll see what happens, but I think we as a community can deal with these things ourselves as we're doing. So
Yeah, I'm not in favor of this one.
Comment?
Yes, sir.
Again, going back to my memo, if you note, the next item said that they concluded that a representative town meeting was appropriate and functional for Milton. And it emphasized that the select board should not be nickel and diming and playing department heads, that this report said they should focus on policy issues and strategic planning. That all integrates with our whole point of having a parking commission licensing board so that the day-to-day operations are not vested with the select board and that they focus on what they're doing. Right now, they nickel and dime themselves all the time. This is all an outgrowth of reviewing what Campbell sent to us. And if you don't want to move on it now, no big deal. I was trying to do my job at this end.
Curtis, they know that they're supposed to set policy, strategic planning, and make appointments. That's been having run for selectmen a couple of times over the last 25 years.
Right, and then they approve budgets and bills and all that crap
Yes.
at every meeting. 2/3 of the meeting is that.
Yeah, they know that, but I think one of those things, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, didn't we talk about Libby being able to do the warrant without it going to the selectmen kind of thing?
I think the way the charter reads now, the charter already makes clear that the selectmen are supposed to be policymakers, and they delegate under the charter practically everything under the sun to the town manager to
Yes.
operate the town. And they have all the powers they want, there may be some exceptions, to delegate more, just as they did with one of our favorite topics, the Park and Rec Commission appointments. I'm picking one out for sort of fun, but there are lots of things. They could delegate more to the town manager if they choose, and they could choose any time on
Right.
their agenda setting to stick to policy.
All right, Tucker, hold on. Tucker has his hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely appreciate what I understand to be the intent of Curtis's motion. I mean, I think for 6 hours or more of a select board meeting to be taken up about what to do with a dog is not a particularly great use of time. So I appreciate it, but I do think I'd want to understand more about what this group would actually do before recommending it.
Okay, so do you want to, Curtis, do you want to postpone this one and we do a little more digging about what services they'll actually provide?
I would be happy to defer this one to, at least to put it on for next meeting, and I'll try to get more information. Again, even if they already have the authority to delegate, they're not doing it. So this may be an outside independent reminder of what their job is and how they should do it better. That's the purpose.
But again, I don't think that's what this group does. I think they concentrate on the financial well-being of towns and how to better budget. So I think we need to look at this more.
Defer to the next meeting, please.
All right, so we'll defer this one to the next meeting. Easy enough. Okay. Next one up, go for it.
Move that Nantucket establish representative town meeting as the official structure for conducting town meeting.
I don't know if we arrived at that absolute, but that's where I'm leaning. But I think the better thing is not to, they shall. I think the better thing is that the selectmen should, I hate that word study. They get endless freaking studies. But they
No.
should study moving to a representative town meeting. And this is where our largest explanation paragraph can take place.
Well, we're waffling on this thing, and we either say, yes, we think it's worth looking at, and they can put it on the ballot and say, hell no, but we're never going to address this if we don't put it someplace and say, tell us what to do.
Well, I agree with that.
Campbell, your hand was up first.
Yeah, I just wanted to put in what we had said at with the November 4th memo regarding change in government form. We said, while the committee has taken the time to research these forms of government, they have not yet arrived at a conclusion as to whether or not the town of Nantucket needs to change their form of government, and to that end, what that change would look like. A change of that significance would require a great deal of public support, education, and careful consideration and planning. The form of government is a passionate topic for voters, and this committee is cognizant of that fact. Because of this, the committee can safely say that any change to the form of town government would need to be carefully analyzed and properly vetted, or it could be effectuated. So that the committee's recommendation is to have a single issue committee formed, appointed to investigate forms of government. No, that's maybe something I put together. But so I just wanted to remind people that's where we were in explaining that. So I just wanted to put that in.
Yep. Tucker, your hand's up.
Yeah, I appreciate Campbell reviewing what we had said in November. I mean, I just do not think we're anywhere close to the point of making a particular recommendation. There's a lot more education and public input that needs to happen first.
Curtis, your hand's up.
I'm reminded of the statistics that we displayed that Tucker developed that tended to show a strong predisposition for representative town meeting, as I recall.
Oh,
Hold on, Linda's hand was up next. Yes, Linda?
I'm sort of stuck in the middle. I agree with Curtis's take on this. I mean, we've spent over 2 years sort of fooling around with this particular section. We went over there, 3 of us went over there to Falmouth, met with their town clerk and their town manager. Mm-hmm. And they have representative. There are some kinks. We'd always say, obviously have to work it out here because we have a fairly large percent of the island that doesn't have any year-round people. But I don't think it's something that's not out of the realm of possibility here. And I think for us to waffle and say nothing about what we think might work for Nantucket or the benefits of a representative town meeting in some sort of comment, 2 years or nothing. You know, what have we been doing for 2 years? Coming up with a parking commission. You know, I think they were sort of relying on us to do the digging on this type of representative town government or whatever form of town meeting. And the census is coming out, which may qualify us for a different type of government as soon as we get the numbers nailed down. That could open up that other avenue we didn't have before us because of the last census. So I think we have to be a little bit more concrete here on our recommendation. Or I don't know how to phrase it, but I don't think we can just sort of waffle around anymore, because that's sort of what they were relying on us to sort of dig into and come up with an answer, or at least a recommendation. So I'm not comfortable with just sort of fluffing it off.
Campbell, I think your hand was up right before Tucker's.
so this is something and sent to Tucker, just some information that I have found out, keeping in mind that a population of 6,000 or less, you have to have a open town meeting. And if you have between 12,000 or between 6,000 and 12,000, you're allowed the representative as an option. And over 12,000 opens up the door to all four. So I said Nantucket's current population of 11,399, as estimated by the state, combines the 2010 census with a percentage of growth through 2019 and is posted on the website census.gov. At this time, that is the only official number available. The committee awaits the release of town-specific data from the federal 2020 census expected later in the fall. Once this information is available, and this is the recommendation I would put forward, this committee's recommendation is to have a single issue committee formed or appointed to investigate forms of government available to Nantucket, how each would be structured and the pros and cons to each, and tender a recommendation to the voters.
Is that an amendment or a different resolution?
I don't know. It's just that's something I had thought of as a good recommendation that was based on known population levels. Nantucket Data Platform has a higher number. We all know that. But then if it is around the 17,000 that they have estimated, do we want to go with a mayor? Do we want, there's other options once you hit more than 12,000. And I think recommending any particular one at this time restricts future viewing. And I think that this also covers us for the amount of work that did go into research at different forms, but also explains that we're limited based on the official numbers that are available to us at this time. So I guess, maybe that's a recommendation, maybe that's a motion. I don't know.
Okay, well, let's see what the others have to say. Tucker, you're up.
Yeah, so here's the board that Curtis was referring to.
The good old days.
It's still in the record, but that was 30 people, that we got to one of our meetings, and about half of them did indicate they would prefer representative town meeting. There were 5 folks who looked at mayor, council, et cetera. But I agree with what Linda said. Like, this is the elephant in the room. This is sort of the thing that I think everybody would expect a town government study committee to be commenting on. Do we have the right form of government or not? I think we are not at the point of being able to recommend anything in particular. I think it would be like kind of a monumental mistake to say, oh, well, technically we're, the last census, we were just under 12,000 voters, and therefore we only can look at our current form or representative town meeting and stick our head in the sand to the fact that we're about to get this, new figure from the census. And, who knows how good a job they did at counting, but I think that conventional wisdom would say we are over 12,000 as a year-round population. And I would presume that the census is going to reflect that. And so I would not want to misrepresent to the voters what options really we are likely to have before us to consider at the time at which they would take this up, which is, next year at the earliest. So I I think that I agree with Linda that we want to have a strong recommendation in terms of continuing to educate and investigate this issue. But I personally am not at the point of wanting to recommend any one particular answer.
Curtis, I think you had your hand up next, and then
Yes, I'm happy to modify this along, more or less along these lines. Move that Nantucket establish a special commission with the sole purpose of studying the appropriate form of government for the town of Nantucket. And essentially, I'm responding to the need for more study. I'm responding to the need that was a primary objective of our group. So let's, in our report, say, here it is. We know there's more to do. You guys appoint a single source commission, like a sole source aquifer, and get the new census data and then go at it. But let's at least go on record as saying this is a critical thing that we need to do.
Linda, your hand is up before we.
Yeah, as I said before, I think no matter what our motion is, I think this is the one where the explanation paragraph has to be the most lengthy. That we went over, we looked at it, there are a lot of pros, and we need to specifically state there are a lot of pros and cons for representative town government, and not avoid that statement, because that's what we went over there for. We've talked about it as nauseum for 2 years. So I think we need to be very concise about our discussions and where we wanted to go and why we're making this statement in that explanation paragraph. I don't want to throw any particular form of, and it's not just town government, it's town meeting. So whatever the motion is has to include the word town meeting format, not just town government.
Good.
Rick, your hand's up.
Yeah, just sort of chime in here. I think what Campbell read was sort of my recollection of close to what we said in our prior report. And I think it was close to how we all interpreted the ballot question at that time and made statements about that. And to have any motion towards, making a firm resolution, I think is something we've already said we weren't going to do. So I would be in favor of working with that language and adding specificity perhaps to recommend to the select board that they establish another commission to look further into those limited purpose objectives. I don't have any problem with that. I think then the town will eventually start to deal with the real pros and cons of any change to our form of government. Right now, it's sort of people just making up stuff off the top of their head, quite frankly. And most of that is a specific, in my mind, reaction to something that happened that they wish it happened a different way. And they thought the change would get what they proposed. And I don't think that's the case. Anyway, that's my comment.
All right, so Linda's your hand up, or was that just from before?
That was from before.
Okay, easy enough. All right, so circling back to where we are, I think Curtis has effectively revised his motion to say that special commission with the sole purpose of investigating the form of town government and town meeting in Nantucket.
Something along those lines.
Something. Oh, we'll wordsmith it so it's a little bit more articulate.
Right. And our comment will be extensive as we've discussed.
And with extensive comment to follow. Yes. Okay. So that is the motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Tucker Holland.
Aye.
Rick Atherton.
Aye.
Curtis Barnes.
Aye.
Linda Williams. You're on mute.
Linda.
We'll go back to Linda. Campbell.
Yes, aye.
The chair votes aye. And one more time, Linda, you're on mute.
Aye.
All right, beautiful. All in favor.
Good, go.
Progress. Okay. Curtis, you got any more?
Yeah, number 6, move that there should be fall and spring sessions of town meeting to more efficiently deal with the varied and important issues of town government.
Okay. I think we talked about this. I mean, this is really coming full circle. I feel like this is one of the first things we talked about however many years ago. So it was definitely on our agenda at some point. Let's see. Campbell, your hand's up. Go for it.
Yes, I didn't have a lot to say other than I think this makes a lot of sense. I think the special town meetings require so many, a higher bar on so many things, and it's often held just to deal with something financial that comes up, and then we don't get enough people. And so, and if you have a regular town meeting, you don't have to have a quorum present like you do in a special town meeting. Again, the raised bar thing. So I read this and I thought 2 thumbs up.
Goody.
All right, Linda, you're up.
A lot of towns in the state have gone to twice a year to avoid this special town meeting ridiculousness and the quorum issues. It would also spread out some stuff, so you're not jammed in with 120 application, 20 warrant articles in the spring, and then other stuff has come up, which is why we've had these multiple special town meetings in the fall. It would also give people that are in Florida for the what used to be April town meeting a chance to be at the town meeting in September or October, because they're still here and they're voters. They're just not here when town meeting happens. I know Jack Gardner, to give you an example, used to come back the day of town meeting from Florida. So I think it makes a lot of sense to go to twice a year, and if they don't need one in the fall, whatever. But it would make more sense to have them scheduled twice a year. I agree wholeheartedly with this one.
Okay, Tucker, you're up.
I was going to say that initially I was not sure whether this was a good idea, but I am thinking that this might be useful to the voters to experiment with in advance of considering any change to our current form. Like, would this solve the problem of the type of thing we heard from the airport folks about, once a year having to make all the financial decisions and missing out on opportunity and so forth. So I am coming around on this one.
Oh,
That's an
join
interesting
the dark side.
I don't know exactly what that says about us, but all right. Yes, Rick.
Yeah, so I don't know that I object either, because we have one almost every year anyway. So that's fine. I think you just have to be clear in the motion that the attributes of an annual apply to both sessions. Otherwise, people might say, oh, it's just another one like we always have. So you just be clear. You maybe add the word annual. I don't know what the language might be. Is this a charter amendment? And I'd have to look at the charter section to see what requires an annual. So I think we ought to have, section 22A or some in our comment at the very least. So.
It would be called a semi-annual meeting type of thing.
Okay. Anyway, whatever the language is, that's all.
Let the town council write the damn thing.
Yeah, I think that's the point. I mean, I think that the intent is that we have twice a year annual town meeting, and you tell us what it looks like.
And in the comment, we say it precludes having to schedule a special town meeting, and it would spread out the burden from the spring town meeting.
Yeah, and Vorst likes that idea because he wants to bring all the zoning stuff in the fall.
Okay. All right. So a motion. Anybody have any other comments on this? Okay, Curtis, is that Is that your motion with? the,
Whatever you evolved, yes, semi-annual, fall and spring and all that stuff,
And all-
subject to town
all
council
the-
writing it up.
And all the good comments too.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have Curtis and Linda plus the comments. Okay, let's see, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, we'll do roll call vote. Linda, is your hand up for a reason?
No, I'm trying to get it down. There it
Here.
goes.
Okay, there we go. Tucker,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Curtis,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
Campbell,
I,
and the chair votes aye as well. Awesome. Good job, gang.
Moving on, next
Yes.
motion. Move that the town moderator be elected for a 3-year term, parens, instead of the current 1-year term.
I'll second that.
So,
I don't mind doing it, but I thought we already did this when we reviewed Lauren Goldberg's comments, so it's already fait accompli.
Yeah, I think we did.
I
We
think
didn't make
that's
the
right.
motion, though.
I think that's incorporated into our motion of the charter changes. Oh, because we voted on each one of her comments, and this was one of the comments.
Yeah.
Whatever, just as long as it gets in
Wait,
there.
It's in, I think we're good.
If Curtis wants to do belt and suspenders, that's fine.
I want to show that we've done something.
We're rattling through your motions.
That's it. That's exactly it. So I think we're okay, but if we want to formalize and do another vote, I have
Well,
a feeling we'll get.
you've got a
unanimous
motion
support.
made, you got a motion made and
And
seconded.
a second.
Let's vote it and reaffirm it.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, let's go all in favor. Tucker,
Aye.
then we've got Rick,
Aye.
Curtis,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
Campbell,
I,
and the chair votes aye as well. Fantastic.
Oh my God, that's the fastest vote we've ever taken.
Ever. Awesome. Great job.
I have one left.
Okay,
Move that Park and Recreation Commission be reestablished and properly funded as a separate town department.
All right, I have to weigh in on that just for clarity's sake. The Parks and Rec Commission is established by state statute. It's
Yep.
already there. What is
Yep.
missing is the funding of the department. So it cannot say Park and Rec Commission be reestablished. It is already established by law. They do have members. What needs to be reestablished is the Parks and Rec Department as a separate entity from the DPW.
I propose you make that amendment, Linda.
I'll rephrase it then. Move that the Park and Recreation Department be reestablished and properly funded as a separate town department. That's my motion.
as,
Second,
yeah, I would add as originally intended.
No,
Second to
because
that.
it was never intended anything in the past. We fought for that. I was involved.
so Campbell, do you have any other, your hands up, or do you have anything else on that?
No. I was just going to correct I wasn't going to be as lengthy, but I was just going to say that it's department, not commission, because the commission actually does exist and has been somewhat active.
When they're allowed to.
Yeah,
Ah.
exactly. And they are looking for someone, which I thought to apply, but I know Libby wouldn't appoint me, so.
Well, this is one, John, where we need a explanation paragraph.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Absolutely.
100%.
And I don't mind writing that paragraph, let me tell
Oh,
you.
absolutely. You and Campbell get to write to your heart's content on this one. All right, are there other comments on this? Because yes, Rick, your hand's up.
Well, I just want to be clear that we're choosing not to comment on who appoints the commission. We could, because I think that was sort of went back to a lot of what happened, and I think the appointment process, even though they're trying to get back together, but has been part of what happened to the department. And if that's our intent, I just want to hear everybody say, I don't want to touch that issue. I think we all have, or at least I have a problem with all of, I think it's section 4, ought to be written, as town council said in 2010 or whenever it was, it was badly written and is faulty, but we haven't dealt with it. So
It's only 11 years.
yeah. So what's the hurry?
Right.
Hearing nothing, I guess the answer is nobody wants to deal with that problem.
Well,
Campbell.
then vote and send it up to them and make them deal with it.
All right, Campbell.
So I would make it a separate motion, I think. The Park and Rec Department reestablishment and being properly funded as a separate town department, I think is its own thing. I think that one could also make a motion that the Board of Selectmen reclaim the appointment process for the Park and Rec Commission. Something like that. Is that what you're saying, Rick?
Yeah, that's the issue. And they we can make a recommendation and they can ignore it. But I think making that recommendation, if we think it's important and related to what we're talking about, then let's at least consider it and see how the group feels.
How many, Rick, do you remember how many they gave Libby to appoint? I know it was Commission on Disability, it was Parks and Rec, it was Visitor Services, and I think there were a few more. Do you remember which ones that Libby has the ability to do?
Yeah, Linda, I'm sorry I don't. So my apologies to you on that.
But see, the selectmen can do that at will.
At the time, the idea, it's administratively efficient and the board can't do everything and blah, blah, blah. But appointments are really pretty important. And I think in this case, the reason to have such a request, if we could call it that, is that I think it emphasizes the importance of the activity. And that's related to establishing a department. So.
Well, here's the other thing. The difference with the Parks and Rec Commission is that it's established and required by state statute. Visitor Services is not. Commission on Disability is not. They can, at will type of things. Right. So it could be that the commission, the Parks and Rec Commission, because it's state mandated, is in a different realm, and the board and the select board should take responsibility for who they put on there.
Right.
Campbell, yeah. So is your hand still up?
No. Sorry.
That's all right.
But I
go ahead.
I appreciate the discussion, and I do think that it's important. I would add that in the article, I think it's Article 47, that the Council on Aging and the two that Linda mentioned, not Park and Rec,
were services and the other one. Yeah.
Right. Those were by that article put under Libby. There was no mention, and there has not been a separate article to ever put the commission under her control. So that was something the select board did. And I think that they should undo that. I think it's a very important commission and shouldn't be open to bias. It should really be representative of our community. And I think the select board is in the best position, perhaps, to consider that when they make appointments.
Just so you know, the selectmen, and Rick will back me up on this, I think, have the ability to delegate to Libby whatever they want to delegate to Libby. It doesn't require a charter change or anything else. And they did give her, I think, maybe 7 or 8 things for Libby to appoint. The only reason the Parks and Rec, again, is different is because it's state mandated, but it's also got this controversy a couple of years ago with a couple of the appointments. And Libby took a lot of heat for that, and the select board did not back her up. So there was and they should always back her up unless there's a real big problem. But it became a political football at that time when they were eliminating the funding for the Parks and Rec. I don't think all that stuff's going to happen again. But I think because of what it is, because it's state mandated and not locally, let's create a group, that it probably should go back to the selectmen. Because especially if it becomes a town department, if it goes back into a town department, it should be at the selectmen's responsibility to put people on it.
So I have a quick, are we ready to make a motion on this? Does everybody feel comfortable with the recommendation?
So can I make one just clarifying point? Are we going to make a recommendation on Curtis's original Curtis's and then Linda's original motion was to move that the Parks and Recreation Department be reestablished and funded. The original motion had nothing to do with appointment of any of it. So I don't know if how we want to handle
That would be a entirely separate motion.
Yeah. Okay.
than The one we just did. Do we actually vote on the one that I just did?
No, we haven't
vote
voted
on
on
that.
anything because we sort of they're related, but they're not, and so it's fine for the discussion to sort of dovetail into that.
Oh,
So
we
I'd like
can,
to move the motion, the first motion, move that the Parks and Rec Department be reestablished and properly funded as a separate town department. I'd like to move that motion. Curtis second.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and
That essentially substitutes for my original motion. Okay.
What is the motion again?
Move that the Park and Rec Commission Park and Rec Department be reestablished and properly funded as a separate town department. And I would say funded and staffed as a separate town department. Because you can fund anything with $1 and have no staff. That's what's happened. They have a department, they have no funding.
Second.
okay, motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on this particular motion? Okay, hearing none, let's do roll call vote. Campbell Sutton,
aye.
Curtis Barnes,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Rick Atherton,
Aye.
Tucker Holland.
Abstain.
Okay,
Oh, you good town employee, you.
and the chair votes aye as well. Okay, fantastic. So now are we going Curtis, your hand's up.
Well, I have one more, but before I bring it, are we going to do a motion on Linda's follow-up before I introduce my last motion?
Which is the
Campbell.
follow-up? Was that Campbell's follow-up?
Yeah, Campbell, you got your hand up too.
Oh,
That's okay.
sorry, I'm losing track here. I think the motion was move that the appointment, the power of appointment for the Park and Recreation Commission be
Delegated back to the selectmen
the Board of Selectmen.
or a
Or no,
select board? Select board. It's always going to be the Board of Selectmen, Campbell. I don't care what they call themselves.
Okay, so the motion is to move that the power of appointment for the Parks and Recreation Commission be delegated back to the select board.
Yes.
Instead of to Libby?
I think that's right, as opposed to Libby.
Yes,
Okay, before we second,
It's just a small thing. Maybe we think about the language, not that it's a
Yeah.
big deal. Sort of reacquired or, you can't, I guess you can delegate it back to yourself. If you can, forget my comment.
All right, well,
Maybe-
how about this, that the power of appointment to the Parks and Rec Commission be the sole jurisdiction of the select board?
Authority instead of power.
be the sole jurisdiction. Okay,
What's the rationale?
Well, without getting into the past issue, it's a state mandated commission. We'll write the paragraph up on it, but it's a
That's
state
right.
mandated commission.
I'm sorry I got us diverted, Mr. Chair.
that's all right, Rick, that's all right. Tucker, your hand's up. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, the select board has the power to appoint or delegate the appointment.
Absolutely.
And so, like, in a way, this is redundant. And if we were to say, if we were to go with some language like was just described, it sort of is taking power away from the select board. It's their decision how they want to do it.
Right.
It just, like I plan to abstain on this one for the same reason in a way that I did in the last one, but I just want to point out that I'm not sure as a principle that we're, intending to be taking powers away from the select board. So.
Can we say something like strongly recommend?
Yeah, or should. Should isn't shall.
We could
Well, I
should.
think that difference is helpful, Linda. I think we ought to recognize that. It's not unlike the licensing commission thing. They could do it right now. And we're
Yeah.
saying we're going to stuff it because we want you to do it. And that's why we're using shall. So, but here it's a little different because there are a number of committee appointments and they're all subject to that same power of delegation. And we're kind of saying, don't use that power in this case. And the rationale that it's a state established commission is a good reason.
Yeah, and so I think it's a recommend, but strongly recommend or should. I think should is a good way to go.
Yeah. So
Agree.
I think we know the tenor of what the motion is.
So.
And it's mostly the explanation paragraph that's going to really lay this out.
So one more time, we're going to say that the power of appointment for the Parks and Rec Commission should be in the sole jurisdiction of the select board.
Yes.
Not the sole. I think we want to take that out, Linda. I thought the idea should be reassumed or should
Revert.
Should be in the jurisdiction. We can't take, let's not use the word revert. Let's just say within the jurisdiction of the Board of Selectmen or Select
That's
Board.
okay. That's all right.
Okay, so if that is the
motion, yeah.
that's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. And then Curtis. Okay, any further discussion on this particular motion?
I just one more further comment. It protects Libby as well because it's so controversial with so many people that it protects her as well if the selectmen have to take the heat for it.
Good.
Point. Okay, so we'll do roll call vote. Tucker Holland.
Staying.
Right on. Rick Atherton.
aye.
Curtis Barnes.
Aye.
Linda Williams.
Aye.
Campbell Sutton.
Aye.
And the chair, John Rusher, votes aye as well. Yes, Curtis, your hand's up.
I have one final motion.
Let's do it.
Move that the Town Government Study Committee be reestablished as the Town Government Commission, a standing commission composed of 7 to 9 members appointed by the Select Board and reporting to the Select Board.
Yes, Linda, go
I
for it.
went round and round about this. This came up, I think, at the last one. It also came up before that, the Charter Review Committee. I think what John found on the governance thing makes more sense than this because we didn't have to invent the wheel because John found examples of these standing governance committees and their committees in other towns. I don't want to reinvent the wheel as to what.
Okay, well, what are they? What's the
John,
substance?
you can talk to that better than I can.
I was going to say, I think Campbell did the yeoman's work on this
Yeah,
more so than I did, but
because I think
well-
that makes more sense. But Campbell, you can explain that.
Well, I think, and I think some of the specifics we talked about were staggering a 3-year term. I think that it's not just a 5 to 7 member board. I think it needs to specify who's included in it. So there's some buy-in in it. I think some towns, it's formed by all in-house. There'll be a select board, there'll be someone from administration, that kind of thing. But what it does is it really just allows whenever questions come up like the NP and EDC or like a town government study in terms of what form you want, you have a standing committee already in place. to facilitate. Are there any specific questions I could answer? I'd probably be better that way.
I think we take it back to Clifford and Teresa. If people don't know what to do, where to go, or how to get redress from some alleged problem with the town. I think you had a pretty good description of it at one point as to what goes on in other towns. But it would sort of allay having to listen to those kinds of warrant articles year after year after year and have them be shot down by town council because they're not legal. Or Lauren saying there's no way to really set one up as like an ombudsman. But it sort of takes the pressure off of Libby, takes the pressure off of department heads and selectmen if there's another group to go to, like an abatement committee, to go to find out how to redress something.
Two ways that we have tried to put that together. I think in the last meeting we talked about it, and I sent, I do have that I could now send now that I have internet, diagramming the structure of our government, so you know where to go to begin with. So you know where you can go. I think that our town makes it very difficult to find out where you can make a complaint or file a complaint. And that's why we have a lot of odd complaints coming into different departments that don't have anything to do with that department, but somebody's trying to figure out, well, who do I call? So then they'll just call somebody and start to talk about their problem. And it would help the person that gets that problem, like is on the other end of the phone, to say, oh, we'd have it, you'd have that diagram done. Oh, well, let me, this is the, under the purview of a certain committee or a certain person, let me redirect you to that instead of having to take it in. I think the piece you're talking about with that recurring article, that was under the ombudsman, which I don't think we were thinking about. I think the recommendation that we had made November 4th regarding the Town Government Study Committee, the recommendation was that a standing committee be established by the select board and town administration in the event that they do so, revising the role of the Town Government Study Committee in Article 5 of the Charter may be prudent. And that's where in some of the links that I sent around, you could see how other towns' charters reflect the makeup of their Town Government Study Committee. Most of them are for 15 to 18 months, an appointed 15 to 18 months that they're given to do the work every 5 years. So similar to ours, I guess, but it's in taking on this recommendation or this motion that Curtis is making. I think we need to be more specific about the structure of this recommendation of a standing government study committee, because it really would be an arm of the select board where, as we have seen, they come in with, well, what about the housing authority and its appointments things? Or when we had the issue with appointment, the big flare up about appointment procedures or something, that would have been for the select board to have been able to say, well, could you take a look at this in depth and give us the best recommendations for doing such things? And that also happened with the NP and EDC. It came in very late to us, but is probably something that should be looked at. But the select board would have the power to move that type of a topic to this independent group to review.
Right, task
with recommendations. So it could cover a lot of things that come before the select board as a question, and they're sort of caught, you know, cold-footed. They're going, what? And then they could even say, well, we're going to remand this to the Standing Government Study Committee.
That's excellent. Oh, hold on, Curtis. Tucker had his hand up first. Tucker.
What are we talking about?
Tucker, get a grip, Tucker.
Come on, we're all got a little blood sugar. Let's get going.
Come on, get a grip.
Yeah. I just I have reservations about this, but I will leave it at that.
Okay, Curtis.
My whole point was to not have a short-term committee that goes out of, this is to make this a commission that's ongoing, which I think I'm hearing from others, as opposed to a committee that's appointed and has a half-life. So if you want to call it a standing committee, I don't care, but the commission is an ongoing thing with terms, and that was the purpose of this motion.
Rick, your hand was up.
Yeah, just a general observation on sort of the reporting relationship. It's been suggested that the committee, the new commission, sort of would report to the board as other committees do. And I think there's a real distinction between that and including reporting to town meeting. I think if you become just another board committee, it loses its independence right away. And so we ought to think a little bit more. I'm not sure I object to having it be a standing with terms, but I don't know that I want to change its relationship. Maybe it should be appointed by the moderator. As you know, there was an issue a few years ago with my friend Mike Glowacki, who thought maybe the finance committee should be appointed by the moderator.
Yeah, I remember that.
As it is in some towns.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And this one might be one where we think that through as part of what we're trying to deal with here. That gives it independence.
If I might
Yes.
respond to that. So a lot of these are appointed, you know, across the state. A lot of these are appointed by the town moderator and or the town clerk. And at times the town clerk is in the group. So I think creating the independence is essential, absolutely essential. I think you can tell even from our own committee that if you feel like you have, you know, sensitive relationships with the town, perhaps, you know, your hands feel a little tied as to what you can say or support. I should probably be wiser than I am, so I don't. But that's, I like that suggestion.
Tucker.
Yeah, I mean, like nature abhors a vacuum, and it just sort of feels like we're creating a solution in search of a problem. You know, we've had, you know, the Teresa Williams example. I'm hard pressed to think of another similar example. I mean, maybe there are dozens of people out there who don't know where to go and they have a big problem to solve. But I mean, I think it was this committee was set up purposefully to convene, you know, every 5 years. Presumably it's a new crop of folks each time to get different perspective. And, you know, maybe there are one or two that are consistent for some continuity and institutional memory, but I just don't know about a standing, you know, keeping this as a standing going thing, regardless of whether any of us are serving on it or not. Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Why do so many towns have them standing then?
Well, I'm not sure we know they really do. I mean, some do, I hear you, but I think some have, commissions that have a life to them. But anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, I think I'm not prepared to move along in this until we thoroughly understand what we're trying to accomplish. And I think the Teresa Williams issue, it no more belongs in the kind of committee or commission we're talking about than the man in the moon.
Right, we should come back to this one.
Okay.
Okay, so. Do you have any more motions, Curtis, or are we good with that?
Oh, I think I'm okay for now.
Okay, so here's my suggestion, unless anyone wants to tell me otherwise. I'm sort of running at the end of my bandwidth after an hour and 45 minutes. I know our next meeting is scheduled for next Thursday. I don't know if it's feasible to have something before then. It would have to be like a Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know if the committee thinks we need to have one before Thursday.
Yes.
What I still see on our agenda is we have 2 or 3. I think
I want to go through your November thing, and I think we need to be very clear about that.
Three more motions that are out there, and going through the November memo, and so and then sort of revising to get everything together for a presentation or a report in the next 2 weeks. So
because we have to do the explanation paragraphs as well.
Right. So we're all going to be drafting away furiously. So if it's possible, I mean, can people meet on Tuesday morning for an hour?
What is that date?
The
25, 25th.
Yeah, I'm all right.
I'm in.
Okay.
I'm off island. I have a doctor's appointment that morning in Hyannis.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We can't do it Monday because we're already past
Yeah,
the time.
we're done with Monday, so it would be, so the other option is Wednesday or either Tuesday. I don't know when you get back, Rick, but if you want to do Tuesday or either Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning.
I could do
No Tuesday afternoon.
Nope.
I should be back by 1 o'clock.
Nope. I have HCC that day and I've got a bunch of stuff on.
Okay. So can we do Wednesday morning?
Well, you know me, 9 o'clock St. Paul's. 10 o'clock I can do.
I'm all right, 10 o'clock Wednesday.
Wednesday. So it'd be Wednesday, May 26th. May 26th, 2021 at 10 p.m. And we'll plan for just an hour because we made a lot of progress today, gang. This was fantastic.
Well, I'm not sure.
Yes.
I'm not sure what my schedule looks like. For
Okay.
next, so I will try to make 10 o'clock work.
Please let us know.
Out of a lot of projects that be done by Memorial weekend, so it's a little tight.
Coming up. Yep.
Do what I can.
Sure is. Okay. Well, let's tentatively plan for that and see what we can do in the meantime.
And we
So,
keep Thursday.
Thursday.
Anyway.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly it. So basically I'm going to file or put in two agendas, one for Wednesday, one for Thursday. Are going to say effectively the same thing. And there's no way I'm getting Wednesday's minutes for Thursday, but that's neither here nor there. Let's be realistic. Okay, so is there any other business?
Move adjournment.
Okay, motion.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Thank you. We'll do roll call vote. Tucker Holland,
Aye.
Rick Atherton,
Aye.
Curtis Barnes,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Campbell Sutton,
Aye.
John Brescher votes aye as well. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,